So these are 4 things that you need to be doing right now to make sure that you give yourself the best chance of getting a grade 9. So these are 4 things that you can do this week to prepare for those exams. I want you to go ahead and do this right now, do this evening, okay? And this one is really important. This is don't waste your time. This is about metacognition. This is about how you're going to make sure that your time you spend studying is the most effective, because there's so many kids tell me, oh, I spent hours and hours and hours and I didn't do any better on those tests. And then in the real thing, they spend hours and hours and hours and they do the same things and they expect to do better, and it doesn't happen. So don't waste your time, please. Think very carefully about the way in which you're studying to make sure that you're going to get the most out of the time that you're going to do. I would rather you do 5 minutes effective stuff than half an hour of just trying to, just something that doesn't work, right? So this is 100% the most important bit, okay? Now, it is absolutely true that the most important thing you can be doing is past papers. But what's the purpose of all of these past papers, right? What is the reason why we bother to do past papers to prepare for the real thing? And the reason of that is to understand exactly how the question works, is to understand exactly how the question they are delivering to you works, exactly what it means that you have to do based on that question, right? And the reason why you go over these past papers and why you're doing what I want you to do this evening, which is to dig out your old mock exams and really go over them with a fine-tooth comb, is that you need to know how to solve the problems in the real exam. It is not about memorizing those answers that you've got in front of you. It is not about memorizing the detail in your textbook, in your revision guide. It is about knowing how to solve the problems that they give you in that exam. And you can actually do this. So here's your thing for tonight. The second of 4 things you need to be doing to make sure you get yourself a grade 9 is you need to dig out your old mock exams, your old unit tests, all of those things there. And I want you to think about the way you prepared for those. And I want you to think about the times where it worked and the way it didn't work. So I've got old unit tests, the ones that you did really well. Think, oh yeah, I remember actually sitting down doing loads of that caboodle exercise or loads of that BBC bite size before that test. I did really, really well on that. Or think about this. Think about the 2 mock exams your school has no doubt done with you this year. Between the first one and the second one, did your grade improve? And if it improved, then go ahead and do that, right? Go ahead and do the same type of revision that you got from that. So this is today's tip for you, the second of 4 things you need to do this week to make sure you give yourself the best chance of getting a grade 9. Don't waste your time. Think very carefully about the quality of the revision that you are doing and make sure that whatever you are doing is the most effective it possibly can be. Right, so go ahead, dig out those old exam papers. Again, I think this is the same thing as I said yesterday. You do need to prioritize really. You maybe need to think about 3 exams that you desperately want a grade 9 in, that you really want your best grade in, and you need to prioritize those and dig out the past papers for those papers and make sure that you are learning from your experiences of doing those past papers and doing those unit tests. Thinking very carefully about the way in which you practice for those and repeat the things that worked and don't bother to do the things that didn't work. So remember, it's not about knowing the answers, it's about knowing how to solve the problems. One of the things I would suggest would be iBooks Physics, which is this massive bank of GCSE, but hard calculation questions, and going over them and doing as many of those as possible. And Lewis from GCSE Physics Online says the idea of iBooks Physics is you don't practice questions until you can do them, until you can get them right. You practice them until you can't get them wrong. So I think that's a really, really important thing. Now, thinking about learning, of course, is not just going to be useful for you in terms of actually getting the most out of your revision, but you're also going to be looking very, very carefully at the questions that you did back then. So it's also revising the content. So working at this higher level, thinking very carefully about the way in which you're learning and the quality of your revision actually brings you up a level. And it means that you are revising all the easier stuff, but you're also trying to hit the highest levels. So it keeps you focused and it helps you understand the physics in a deeper way. So thinking about, oh, right, why is it I understand that bit but not that bit, actually helps you understand that bit a bit more. Why is it that this bit is more difficult than this one? Why is it that, the things I did to learn that didn't work for the things I did to learn this? Well, okay, it's a different type of context, a different type of concept that needs to be learned in a different way, maybe, okay? So Isaac Physics, Mayor. Okay, so I'm going to just, there's a few different ideas of places that you can find different questions. And what I'd really like is I'd love it if you guys would comment down below in the real comments of this video, places that you have found that aren't on this list, or maybe that you like the ones that are on this list, to find good banks of preferably multiple choice questions, but really any type of questions is good. Any type of questions where people can check the quality of their revision, check if they know something, do some revision on it, and then check again. Because that is always the mode I think that the revision is best. Check, revise, check again. So here's some ideas for you. So Physics and Math Tutors has exam questions really well organized. GCSE Bite Size is obviously really, really good. Primrose Kitten has thousands of multiple choice questions on our website. Textbooks and revision guides have, some of them got nice little quick fire questions, some of them have got just the good in on a spread questions or the summary questions at the end. Use them, check and check and check again. The physics and, sorry, I said that one, didn't I? Your teachers themselves, okay, ask them for banks of questions. Exam Pro and all the exam boards have a kind of test a bank of test questions, bank of past paper questions that you can go to and you can download. You can even make your own little tests from them. Doddle or Sam Learning or Caboodle, whatever type of online learning system your school provides for you. Isaac Physics we just talked about. Hyperphysics S-Cool, Kahoots, but be aware, try and look for the ones that teachers have made is a really, really good way of thinking about that, but some of those are pretty poor as well. And any other ideas, please comment them down there. So this is my message for today. Second thing about getting the highest grades is don't waste your time. Think very carefully and make sure that whatever you do is useful. And do that by checking whether you need to do something, doing something about it, and then checking that it worked. And then the more you repeat that, the more effective your time is going to become. But do this tonight. This is your homework right now. Pick 3 that you care about the most, the 3 sciences or physics, maths and English, or whatever you think was the most important thing. And go ahead and dig out your mock exams for that. Think very carefully about the way you prepared for each of those mock exams. If it worked, great, then do those things. If it didn't work, then ditch that style of revision. So dig out those mock exams, unit tests, go over them carefully, spend about an hour on those 3 subjects you chose to actually focus on, and just go through those questions that you did. Hopefully you've got your own corrections, and think very, very carefully about the way in which you learned them. Okay, let's have a little look from these. I think seriously there'll be a question on sparking. What could be a horrible question? Well, sparking is all about a spark is a current basically going through air, and it's caused by a potential difference between 2 points. So if you think about the Van de Graaff generator, essentially what you're doing there is you're storing charge on a dome, and that means that there's a really high potential there. There's some energy stored because that charge is all the same. It's all positively charged on a Van de Graaff generator. That positive charge does not want to be next to each other, so they're kind of repelling each other. So there's this kind of energy in this forces between them, okay? But they can't go because it's insulated. And then when you bring another thing closer to it, another thing close enough to it, that there's a different potential, now there's a potential difference. And that's what we tend to call a voltage between the dome of the Van de Graaff generator and the sphere that you bring close to it. And then there is a spark, which is that flow of charge through the air. There's a current through the air. So if you look back, it's for old specification, but it's still perfectly good video. I have a video where I demonstrate a Van de Graaff generator. I think if you type in Van de Graaff generator guerrilla physics, you'll probably find it, and it's all about sparking. So it could be something, you know, it seemed like it was a question on static electricity, or it seemed like it was a question maybe about a cell or something like that, but actually it was about the idea of potential difference being about this difference in charge between one place and another, difference in the energy because those charges want to get away from each other. So that could be a horrible kind of question they could come up with. If you think about a battery, it has a positive side and a negative side. Think about a small AA battery or something, it has a positive side and a negative side. That's what a potential difference is. And that's the reason why charge will flow, because it's attracted to the other side or it's repelled from its own side. So that is the reason for charge to flow, is a potential difference. Hope that helps, Rach. Good question. What have we got? Maya's said some nice things. What was the website for the hard ones? Was Isaac Physics. Would I start the exam from the back or the front? I start from the start. I will be honest with you. I can see, try it both ways. Do two similar-ish papers or something, try it both ways. But I would start from the front because I like to think it gets me warmed up. But I've never struggled with time. If I struggle with time, then I might start from the back. I don't know, because then I could rush the easier ones and be sure of getting more marks. But I don't know. Do what works for you. I personally always started from the front and it always worked for me, so I never really considered doing that. But I would check what works for you. It might be an idea to kind of like have a go at the hardest ones. Excuse me. It might be an idea to have a go at the hardest ones at the start, so that by the time you come back to them, you've had a time to think about them. But I kind of think if you're spending the entire paper stressing out about the harder ones, and you won't concentrate to pick up the easy marks. So I would probably say stick from start to finish, especially if you've never had a problem finishing in the time. If you have a problem finishing the time, then it's the time to come up with a different strategy other than just going through from the start to the end. CEA lets you put together a paper by question bank. That's perfect then, isn't it? That's exactly what you need. So you could just go back, you could just make sure that they're like useful for your own syllabus. And so I don't know, if we Google something like CEA question bank, does that find what we need? Then if you can, yeah, CE, GCSE, okay. It lets you put together a past paper, yep. Looks quite good. Practice tests, yep. That looks really, really useful. Revision, science, CEA. Good, okay, so if you Google just CEA and then question bank, you should be able to find the right thing to click yourself and make yourself a little past paper question. Awesome. Is that AQA? Yeah, that's definitely in all of that. Sparking is near this year, so could be asked, yep. Is there any video specification that I can follow? Like the one I see is free science lessons. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Is there any video specification that I can follow? Yeah, free science lessons is good. The other one is obviously, I recommend is A-level physics online, or GCSE physics online, as he also has now. Probably some of the best videos for covering everything quite quickly is Primrose Kitten, who does the whole of AQA Paper 1 type videos. And that's really, really good because by going through that video, you can think to yourself, oh, whoa, that bit I really struggle with. The electricity bit, I didn't even know the sparking was in there. Okay, sparking is just a discharge. Okay, it's a rapid discharge of the charge. The charge is leaving that dome really, really quickly, so it sparks. So it's a current through air, and it's just it's a really hot bit of air basically when the current flows through it. Yeah, my videos don't go through the specification. I just make a video on a thing, but I do have playlists for each of the AQA units. If you go onto my channel, go to my channel homepage, and I have a playlist on every single AQA unit, and any video that's relevant, I've just shoved in the playlist. Yeah, what do you think of Fuse School, Mayor? Is it good? Yeah, Lil Rex, this is physics, but I've just been giving people tips for how to get a grade 9 in all subjects, really. And this thing you need to do today, this is, I'm going to close this off pretty shortly. This thing you need to do today is you don't waste your time. Think about the quality of your study and do this by digging out your old mock exams and thinking about the way that you prepared for them. Go through them and think to yourself, did it work? Did it actually work out that you got a better grade because of the work that you did? If the work you did not lead to you doing better in your second mock exam, then do it in a different way. Okay, so change the way that you are doing. Check out some of those ideas that people have given you. Now, put any ideas that you find that are useful in the comments, and let's make this like comments for this video, a nice little bank of ideas that other people can use and other people can revise using your resources, your ideas. Okay, I'll have a couple more comments then, and then I'm going to go. Do this tonight though, just for like 3 of your GCSEs, pull out past papers, go through those, and think very carefully about why you did well or why you did not do well because of the way that you revised. And in that way, you'll make sure that you won't waste your time. Okay, so so Fuse School, good for some things, not for everything though. Thank you very much, Maya. Hey, I sent 2 questions by email. Oh, did I haven't received them, Markov. Maybe just check them again, or I will check my inbox and I'll have a little look. It's because I'm in year 10 now and haven't done any revision for it. I have for other subjects, but not anything for physics, but a teacher is not the best. So what should I do? Thanks so much. Well, you're doing the right thing by checking out here, aren't you, really? And making sure that you can spend the time to do them on your own. Thanks so much for you and free science lessons, though. You people help with people like me so much and for free. Thanks very much. Well, absolutely. Money's, is important, but at the minute, I'm just really enjoying doing these videos and helping you guys out. It's really like, it's really it's really gratifying. It's really nice to hear people like you arrive and say thank you. If you do want to support Guerrilla Physics, then consider the links in the description, which are, one is my book, Memorise Equations for GCSE Physics. I'm going to have more books coming out soon, especially one for bridging the gap between GCSE and A-level, which is going to come out pretty much after the exams this year on paperback. So consider buying that. But also, if you consider buying a revision guide or just some stationery from the little Amazon store, then I get a small cut for that from that as well. And that money is not a lot of money at all or whatever. But if you want to help out, if you want to say thank you, in fact, the very best way that you can say thank you is just by sharing one of my videos that you found useful with as large a possible audience as you can, basically. So just by saying to your teachers, say, I found Guerrilla Physics useful. Here's a playlist that I found useful when I was studying for that exam. Here's a video that I think the rest of the class would be useful for them to see, or put it on your Facebook or whatever you kids use these days. Don't be shy. Put it out there and say, this guy is useful. Check out his videos. They're free. All right, thank you, dude. It's sent. Please check in. I will. Oh, you're Lane. You've changed your name. Okay. Q Markov. Hi, Lane. Right, I'll check out your question, Lane, and I will get back to that at some point. Thanks very much. Happy revising. Don't waste your time. Think very carefully about what works for you and what doesn't, and really make sure that it's the most effective revision